Hello, this is Matthias. You probably know a lot about Brazil, but did you ever hear about Simples Nacional? It's a tax, and contrary to what the name suggests, it's challenging to calculate it. But with Power Query, it's a fun challenge. I'll show you how you get from this column here with the monthly invoiced amounts to this column here with the tax amount for each month. There are three major steps, 1, 2, 3, and we will go through them one by one. First, we have to build this accumulated revenue here for the previous 12 months. And as for the first 12 months, there are no complete 12 months, previous 12 months available. So here we have to do it in a different way. So let's start first with the regular one. So here on the 13th month, we just go and take these previous 12 months and sum them up. You see here, the sum is corresponding to this amount, so that's simple. Let's do it one more time for the 14th month. So we go and take the previous 12 months, and you can see here the sum is corresponding to this amount here. So that's quite regular. And for the yellow part, we do it like this. For the first month, we take the first month like it is and multiply it with 12. For the second month, we sum up the first two amounts and divide them by 2 and then multiply by 12. For the third month, we sum up the first 3 months, the amounts of the first 3 months, and divide them by 3 and then multiply by 12. So that goes on until the last 12 months, and you can see here that obviously these two amounts are identical, and that's always the case. Good. Then these amounts here are used to pick up from this auxiliary table a percentage and a deduction amount according to in which range these amounts are. So you can see here there are 6 ranges from 2. And you can see here they are all in the same range, the 5th range, which is from 1,800,000.01 to 3.6 million. So all of them have 14.3% and 87,300 as the deduction amount. And if we scroll down, we can see also some other amounts which are a bit lower, around 1 million. And this has then 10.7% and 22,500 as a deduction amount. You can see it here. There they are. So this is between 720,000.01 and 1.8 million. So this is a kind of lookup which we will have to realize in Power Query, a lookup with approximate match. Now these 3 values are used to build this nominator. It's quite simple. It's the accumulated amount times the percentage minus the deduction amount. Good. And then this nominator is used to calculate a percentage. So it's nominator divided by accumulated amount gives a percentage, and the monthly invoiced amount times that percentage gives the tax for that specific month. Now let's build this here. It's not that difficult. So it's the monthly invoiced amount times the nominator divided by the accumulated amount. Good. Let's just hide these columns. And now we will go to the Power Query editor. I've changed these two columns to a table with Control-T, so I can go to the Data tab and with From Table Range import it to the Power Query editor. You see here's already also the auxiliary table. And the first thing we will do right now is we build a custom function. How to do this? We build a new query. We go to other sources and then down to blank query and then directly to the advanced editor. And for a custom function, you normally start here by defining the parameters. Here we only want to have one. I call it values as list. And these values are the monthly invoiced amounts. So now let, and we will call that name running total list. We will build this with ListGenerate. ListGenerate has 4 parameters. We only see 3 here, but I will call them all. So initial is the parameter where we define the initial values. Condition is the step where we define how often we are going to repeat this calculation. Next is the function which is defining the values for each step. And then there is an optional selector step parameter, which is defining which value we want to return. So let's start with the first one, with the initial values. So after the brackets, it's an equal sign and bigger than, and we open square bracket, and let's define the first one for running total. If you remember, it was 12 times first value of the monthly invoiced amounts, so it's values. And as lists are 0-based, I have to type a 0. Then we have a counter. I call it I, like integer. And this time we start with 1. Or you start here with 0, but I think it's easier if we start with 1. So now in the condition parameter, we define how long we are going to repeat this. So it's as long as the I, the counter, the previous value of the counter, is smaller, equal to this count of values. Okay, so I see I must here a comma, and now we are going to define the formula for each step, the values. And we have to differentiate. You remember there were two cases, so we have to bring in an if clause. If I counter, the previous counter plus 1 is smaller or equal. Oh, that was a bit too long on the keyboard. Okay, I'm blocked a bit, so it's 12. And we define running total as 12 times. You remember that we summed up. So list sum in this case. What did we sum up? We summed up the first values of the monthly invoiced amount. So it's list range. And we start always with, okay, of course, with the values. And we take the first one, 0, so there's no offset. And how many? Well, we take previous counter value plus 1, and we divide this by again the previous counter value plus 1. Okay, then we have to define the counter. So that's easy. I equals the previous counter value plus 1. That's it. Now for the else case, if it's bigger than 12, define it like this. It's just the list. Oh, start of course with RT equals list sum. Let's get a space so the intelligence can help us. List sum and the list sum of list range again. And it's of course again values. This time it's a bit different. We're going for previous value of I minus 12. So for the case for the 13th month, that would be 0. So starting from the very beginning. And how many values do we take? We take 12. So that was easy. So I will just copy this one here to make less mistakes. And then a comma, and then we are for fourth parameter, the optional selector. It's not necessary, but we do have two values. One is the RT, the running total, and the other one is the counter, and we only want to have the running total. So in, and I have to repeat the name of the step, total list. So that looks good. I add an S here. Done. Yes, So I can now change the name to fx, which makes it easy to call. Running total. We can now use this in the data. So I'll add here a custom step, and I can call it running total. Makes sense. And this is done with the table from columns. Table from columns has two lists. First one is looking for the columns themselves. The second one is about the column names. So table, two columns. So this takes care of all the columns from the previous step. Source. And we will combine this with the function call, so fx running total. And I'll add here the list buffer. It's not necessary for this one, but do it always and you're good if you have loads of rows. Then it's necessary to speed up things. So here we just need to define the name, previous column, previous step with val underscore total. Good. So we do have our columns. We just have to define the names of the columns. So it's table column names from the previous step, the source. And combine this with name of the new column. I'll call this accumulado. So this is not the original one. That's good enough. And let's see. There we are. And now we want to combine, or we want to look up these percentages and these deduction amounts from this table. What we have to change the name here to acumulado. Otherwise, we would not be able to append these amounts here with the amounts in the data query. Let's go back to the data query. And we will append. And we will just go for itself because it's easier for us to change this like this. So limits. So there we are. We just have to sort this ascending. And then we have to fill down the percentage and the deduction amount. So fill down. And now we can get rid of the limits rows by just filtering here out the null. There we are. Let me just go and sort according to the period again. And now let's get rid of the columns which we don't need. So let's mark period, the monthly invoiced amounts, acumulado, percentage, deduction amount, remove other columns, nicely sorted as well. And now we have to add a column, a custom column. And this is the nominator, so let's call it nominator. And that's the acumulado times, so the accumulated amounts times the percentage. It's good that we can make a double click, because otherwise we surely would make a mistake. Divide by 100 and then deduct the deduction amount. There we are. That's not too bad. We just need another edit column, custom column. This time we call it tax. And tax was the monthly invoiced amount times nominator divided by the accumulated amount. There we are. And we can close and load. And then I'll close and load the data. No, load to T1. So as table, existing worksheet, T1. Okay. Just quickly change the number formatting. This is the original one, so we can quickly now compare. It's exactly what we wanted. So I hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. Until the next time, obrigado.